Vaughn played only 6 snaps yesterday, none after halftime. Was there a setback? Did something happen during the game? What was the basis for that?
Well, I think just overall, it's situation a little bit there, and we got to manage it a little bit better as well. So we'll look forward to him getting more reps moving forward here.
Is that kind of the way he's trending for Thursday, that he may go back to the 27 reps that he had the previous 2 games?
We'll see. Again, it's sometimes situationally specific as well, and we go from there.
I understand that, whoever is among the top 48, those are the guys who get uniforms on Sunday. But if Vaughn's in a situation where he might only play 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 snaps, at what point does the risk of putting him back out there outweigh the reward that you might get in those few amount of snaps?
I just think, like any player, Thad, it's a fair question. Like any player, it's, hey, what you're getting by dressing the player versus what you're leaving off the table if you don't dress the player. So any player and every player in uniform, I'm saying generally speaking, need to be getting their share of the reps and splitting the reps, and then also producing. And that's true of any position.
All right. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, hey, Sean. Dawson Knox a few drops the last few weeks. Do you feel the wrist injury is inhibiting his ability to catch the ball the past few weeks?
Probably a better question for him directly, Alex. I think, Dawson's a good football player, and we expect him to make those plays when called upon.
Pass protection seemed to be a little bit inconsistent. When you watch the film, what would you attribute some perceived struggles in that area to?
Well, I think it was 2 things. I think they did a good job with some of their pressures, which challenge your protection and your routes at the same time, and so our communication at times could have been better, and then other times just winning our one-on-ones as well, and I think that was important. But they got us a couple of times, in particular inside there.
With the inconsistencies on offense, have you had any discussions, or do you feel there's any need to maybe increase Josh's presence in the running game, maybe dial up some more design runs to maybe aid the offense and get into a rhythm early?
Yeah, good point. Those are things we talk about every week, and it'll continue to be talked about. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, kind of going off of that, what is the balance of making sure that Josh doesn't take those kind of unnecessary hits that we've talked about so much, keeping him healthy, but also allowing him to do what makes him so great and, use his athleticism and make those plays that he does so well, for example, in the running game like that?
Yeah, exactly, Heather. You guys have heard me use the phrase before, everything in moderation. I think that's the case in that situation as well, is everything in moderation, right? So, it is part of his athletic ability that he brings to the table, and and so he's had the shoulder a little bit and things, and so again, it's just, hey, not getting way over here on anything, not getting way over here on anything. It's just, hey, let's do what it takes for us to win games, and all the while trying to keep Josh healthy. So I think that's a good point.
Do you think that he's playing? I know last night you talked about how you don't think his confidence is down or anything, but do you sense that he's playing with any kind of hesitation at all? Like, obviously in the opener, he's got those 3 interceptions there. Had another one the first play of the game. Do you sense that at all from him, that he's playing with any kind of hesitation at all?
No, I don't. I think that first ball he had yesterday, just to speak on that real quick, was a throw that he wants back, and took full ownership of that, and that's what I love about him. But then there's also plays that he makes that nobody else in the NFL can make, right? So it's finding that balance of, hey, taking what the defense gives you, and then, hey, when it's time to be special and be Josh Allen, when the situation dictates, you got to be Josh Allen. I think he showed signs of that yesterday as well, and so, but we got to find a little bit more of the consistency piece of just, hey, making sure we're putting the ball where it needs to be when it needs to be there based on the defense and the look that we're given, and whether it be situationally or on that first play is just making sure we take what the defense gives us right there. So I'm fully confident in Josh. I think he's confident. I think he's played some really good ball at times this year, and I thought he made some very special plays yesterday as well.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Hi, Sean. Kind of playing off that a little bit. When we talked to Josh briefly after the game there, I had asked him about the offense getting into a rhythm, the delay in that over really the last 3 games. And his response was, if we'd had the answers, maybe we'd have fixed it by now. After watching the tape and maybe taking some time to digest what happened yesterday and maybe in the bigger picture, do you feel you're closer to finding answers in terms of the ultimate execution of this offense at this point, looking toward Thursday?
Well, obviously the result yesterday was the result, so not happy at all about that. But I do feel like we moved the ball at times yesterday, and I mean, listen, we only punted one time, and so you're looking at a lot of early downs when you're saying, hey, what happened on the early downs? First down was rather good, and then second down was the bigger issue, right? We're getting off schedule and not getting back on track on schedule, and creating for some really tough and challenging third down situations. Some which when you're at 3rd and 17, it's in this league it's really tough to convert. So just overall, some of those were penalties baked into that, where we were self-inflicted there, penalties that affected being on schedule. So I mean, it's just we're getting going, and then something happens where it's like, hey, a penalty comes up, a negative play. Great example, 2nd and 2. I think we were backed up, trying to move the chains and get out of being backed up, and we get a negative run, and we're into a third down and longer situation than we want to be. And then we're forced to punt. They max it up, with a all up look, and then they vice us up as well, and they get a big return off of it. So it's just one thing affecting another, early in the game yesterday in particular.
You had given Ken, again, a full vote of confidence after the game yesterday. Are you more involved, though, in the offensive process at this point, realizing that you wear 2 hats as defensive coordinator as well? But are you kind of injecting yourself more into the offensive meetings and that process as we look toward Thursday?
Well, I'm doing everything that I can as a head coach to make sure that things are the way that I want them and expect them to be across all 3 phases.
And lastly, what is an overall message? What is your overall message to the team today? I had heard the possibility of a players only meeting today. I don't know if you can confirm that or not, but it seems like this is kind of a crossroads situation. A day after a loss like that, do you have kind of an overall message for your players at this point?
Well, number one is it's each and every one of us start by looking at ourselves, right? And what we can do better. And I think that's really where it starts. Take ownership of your piece of this, and then raise your game in terms of doing your job better. I think that's a healthy place to start.
All right, Sean, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, I had a clarifying question on Von Miller just to start. When you mentioned that you have to manage a little bit better, is that his injury or is that like the personnel groupings?
I just think, just overall, when you're talking about a player that's active and dressed, right, we've got to make sure that that player and his situation, in this case with Von, is managed, and getting enough reps and reps based on the situation we may be in. Down and distance wise, field position wise in this case. And so it's just, hey, if they're dressed, making sure that player is being managed accordingly.
Gotcha. And then did you guys have any other injuries come out of yesterday?
Who did you have in mind? Is there anybody you had in mind?
I know that Jordan and Micah came back after Jordan Phillips, were down for a second. They came back both to play, but are they good for this week?
Yeah, I'll give you the 2 that I know of. So Dawson Knox has been dealing with the wrist, and he's going to end up having surgery here. And then Balin Spector has a hamstring the game yesterday. So we'll see where that goes.
Do you know a timeline of how much time Dawson will miss with surgery recovery?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you too early right now. The decision was just made to go ahead and get that done.
Gotcha. I was also curious. I know I asked yesterday about Dalton Kincaid, but just now that you've had more time to look at his game yesterday, what did you make of that? And especially in light of the Dawson news, just what can he bring to this offense?
Yeah, very impressed. Very impressed, and it was great to see. Honestly, it's good for our offense. The question was asked earlier about some of the things I saw yesterday, and I was happy with that to say the least. That's something that we've needed to get going for some time now, and obviously he was out the week prior with a concussion, so it's good to see him getting going and building a rapport with Josh, and I think that can help us as we move forward here.
Thanks, Sean.
Hi, Sean. I know we've talked about coin toss theology, if you will, over the years, and I was thinking about what you said after the game yesterday about playing with the lead and like leaning into complementary football. Have you considered a little bit more this year, especially with the offense struggling, maybe not deferring and taking the ball at the start, and what that might be like to get your offense in the field right away?
Right. I mean, that's a great question as well, Matt. Those are things we talk about based on sometimes other factors that come into play, weather and whatnot. But over the top of all that is, yeah, I mean, those are things that we talk about every week as we look at how we want to manage the game and maybe help one side of the ball or the other, or based on the opponent's strength and weakness, how it may factor into the game. So very fair question there.
Mm-hmm. And then you said with the communication and being involved in all three phases, what specifically from your vantage point do you do in the next 4 days, especially in a short week, to maybe get more involved in the offensive meeting rooms and with Ken, kind of working with him?
Right. I mean, short week is tough, whether you're wearing two hats here or just one. But I can promise you, I mean, I didn't sleep much last night, and I probably won't sleep much tonight. So we're going to work tirelessly to get this thing, continue to get it figured out and on the right tracks, in particular on a short week here.
Do you feel like Josh and Ken have both received their fair share of criticism for this stretch? Obviously, they've, the offense, for numbers wise, has performed pretty well. But for these early starts, do you feel like it's more of an execution thing where it would probably fall a little bit more on Josh, or a plan kind of deal where Ken's not maybe putting them in the position early on?
Well, I think it's that and those two combined, but beyond that, there's other things beyond that as well. So it's hey, how physical are we on offense? Are we a physical offense? Can we be more physical? What's our effort look like? How much do we strain? I'm talking about the intangibles of how we play, right? As a team, not just the offense, but as a team. Talking about fundamentals and techniques. I know these are not, fancy things, sexy words to use that are earth-shattering here, but to me, we can run a play. Anybody runs a play, let's say a flat slant combination, but it's how you run it, right? With the detail, with the urgency, with the toughness, with the fundamentals and the techniques. And I think that comes, and along with that is an attitude that you run a play with. I think that's huge.
And then one final thing I had for you, you were emphatic yesterday about, overseeing all three phases, especially with the offense part. Does Ken submit a game plan to you for approval, and how involved are you in the game planning offensively?
Well, again, from a head coach's standpoint, I'm involved. I also believe in allowing my coaching staff to do their jobs as well. I try not to micromanage. I do step in when I feel like I need to, and there's been increased communication over the last few weeks, and whatever area it is, I'm not going to just stay quiet. We're trying to win games, and we're trying to do things the right way. And I think when you do things the right way, that helps you win games. So it's all about making sure we're doing things the right way and getting better as we move through the weeks here.
Thanks for all that, Sean. And just real quick, I'm sorry to monopolize so much time. Knox, do you see it more as a week-to-week kind of deal?
Somewhat. I just don't know enough yet, Matt, to be honest, more detail with you there.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Coach Mookie Arkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing?
All right, Mookie, how are you?
I'm good, Coach. I'm good. I hope short work week, so I can only imagine, what the process is going on with you. But Coach, in your first 3 wins, you ran the ball 73 times and just about over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. The last 45 yards in production. In those 3 games that Josh, those first 3 wins, Josh was rather efficient in those games. James Cook production, can you fairly assess his play? And does you feel that 13 carries a game is warranted for him?
Are you suggesting more or less? I'm not really sure where you're going.
More. Is James Cook a more of increased role for James Cook in this offense?
Right. I mean, yeah, James, I think, has done some really good things. It's a second-year player. We've got some youth going on out there. We've got quite a bit of youth on defense that we're developing and trying to develop and grow, and it's good to get those guys reps. And James on offense, another young player that has shown flashes of the standard that we talk about and playing winning football. More consistency for all of us, and James included in this, is important, right? So that we can play at that level, the standard that we have for ourselves, winning football on a more consistent basis. And very impressed with some of the things he's done early on in his career to this point.
That's all we have time for today. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.